Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We thank you for being here with us today. We are gathered as a Florida Southern and ROTC community to honor the life and sacrifice of our brother in arms, Major Cody A. Khork. Would you please stand with me for the invocation and remain standing for our national anthem? I invite you to pray in your faith tradition as I pray in mine. Almighty God, we gather here in a moment that is marked by loss, by respect and remembrance. We stand in the presence of a life that mattered, a life that shaped others, and a life that was given in service to something greater than self. Today, we honor the weight of a man's life, lived with purpose. We give thanks for Major Cody Khork, for his courage, for his loyalty, and for the way that he stood for others. Be present with those who grieve. Steady those who feel the weight of this loss. Strengthen this college community to carry forward what was good, what was strong, and what was worthy in him. And may this moment call us to live with the same clarity of purpose and commitment to others. In your name we pray. Amen.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please be seated.
A native of Polk County, Florida, Major Cody A. Khork was a dedicated military professional who devoted his life to serving his country and leading soldiers. He was killed in a drone attack on March 1st, 2026, while serving as the Force Protection Deputy with the 103rd Sustainment Command Forward in Kuwait. Major Khork's distinguished career was marked by numerous leadership roles and deployments. Prior to his final assignment, he commanded the Headquarters and Headquarters Detachment 317th Military Police Battalion Forward at Camp Kosciuszko in Poznan, Poland. Under his leadership, the detachment earned the prestigious Major General Bandholz Award, recognizing it as the best military police detachment in the United States Army Reserve. His service record included deployments to Saudi Arabia and Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, in addition to his deployments to Kuwait and Poland. He also completed a rotational assignment at Camp Humphreys, Korea. Major Khork's commitment to excellence was recognized with numerous military awards and decorations, including the Meritorious Service Medal, the Army Commendation Medal, and the Joint Services Achievement Medal. He was a proud member of the Military Police Regimental Association and was awarded the Bronze Order of the Mariachi. His military journey began when he enlisted in the Florida National Guard as a field artillery soldier. After graduating from Florida Southern College and completing the ROTC program, he was commissioned as a military police officer in the United States Army Reserve. At the time of his death, he was pursuing a master's degree from Webster University. Major Khork's legacy is one of selfless service and a deep commitment to the development of his fellow soldiers. He is remembered by his brothers and sisters in arms as a dedicated and selfless professional.
Today is a solemn and consequential moment for Florida Southern College. We gather not only to remember a life marked by service and sacrifice, but to reflect on the enduring lessons of a life of character and purpose. Now, though I did not know Khork, recent weeks have provided the opportunity to get to know him through the stories of family and friends. Since arriving at Florida Southern, I have spoken often about our culture of being great teammates. Great teammates show up, they give their best effort, and they celebrate others. Khork was a great teammate. He was the kind of officer who, despite bad knees that would swell like watermelons, would be up hours before march to ensure his soldiers had everything they needed. He was the kind of friend who said yes before knowing what the requested favor would be. Now, it's well known that a core tenet of Methodism is moderation. And of course, Florida Southern is a United Methodist college. Khork, however, ever the scholarly gentleman, approached life more closely aligned with the tenet of famous author and poet Oscar Wilde, moderation in moderation. He was the kind of fraternity brother who was sought out as a beverage buddy by every parched pledge. I promised his brothers and family that I would describe him accurately, and that is as well and as chastely as I can do it. He was, in short, one of the very best of us. The Reserve Officers Training Corps has long been an integral and deeply valued part of this college, and it represents the discipline, integrity, and willingness to answer a call to serve that extends selflessly beyond personal ambition. Generations of leaders in that mold have been shaped here. That legacy is a source of great pride, and today, of profound reflection. Major Cody Khork's own legacy is now forever entwined with that of the Moccasin Battalion and Florida Southern College. The values he cultivated here held true throughout his life. He carried them forward with conviction, responsibility, and courage. At Florida Southern, we feel his loss deeply. We grieve the loss of one of our own while acknowledging those among us for whom his sacrifice is felt most intensely. To the Khork family, please know that Florida Southern mourns with you, and we take incredibly seriously our responsibility to steward his legacy here at the college.
All right, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Lieutenant Colonel retired Scott Laurent. Haven't used that moniker in a while. I had the privilege of being Cody's PMS while I was here at Florida Southern College, and then upon his graduation and commissioning, I had the honor to commission him. When I met Cody, or when I arrived on campus in 2012, Cody stood out for me as mostly because he was tall, thin, and had really thick glasses. I tried not to have a first impression of him, but sometimes you just can't help it, and I did. And I learned over the next 2 years with him that my first impression of him was absolutely dead wrong. Cody was passionately patriotic, incredibly loyal to both his ROTC cadet classmates and members and his fraternity brothers. He was excited and passionate about the opportunity to serve in the Army as an officer. Cody had the natural ability to not only read people, but demonstrate empathy towards them. He understood what a cadet needed, or what a classmate needed, or what a fraternity brother needed at a level that just kind of doesn't come natural to a lot of people. For him, it was very, it came very easily to him. He understood when a word of encouragement or a tip or a technique or even a bad joke was what the person needed to move on and go about their day. In the Army, as those of you, see a lot of y'all in uniform know, we're often placed in positions that are uncomfortable, either physically or mentally, and often both. As leaders, there's not a whole lot we can do about the weather, and sometimes there's not a whole lot we can do about the physical situation or the emotional situation, but what we can do is help those in our charge cope with it. And that's what Cody was really good at. Because of that and other reasons, Cody came to Dakar, Senegal with me in 2014, where during the summer I was assigned to head up a cultural understanding and leadership program where groups of cadets from all over the country would come and spend 2 to 3 weeks with us, engage in English language training conversations with Senegalese soldiers. And then while not in those English classes, Cody and I would find cultural opportunities, both good and bad, for the cadets to experience. One day while walking the streets of Dakar, Cody and I were approached by a young man. And this was a really frequent occurrence for both of us. And as usual, Cody would take a step back and position himself behind the man so that the person was walking beside me. It was quite obvious that I was the guy in charge, just probably due to age, not anything else. This day, this man pulled out a very large knife, probably about 8-inch blade, and pointed it towards me. And after a pause, I figured this is going to go one of two ways. I looked at him, I said, "That's a very lovely knife." And he says, "Yes, sir. How much would you like to buy it?" And I said, "Well, no, thank you. I would not like to buy it, but I appreciate you offering it to me." He goes, "Well, I have other knives I could show you as well." I said, "No, that's okay. I'm good. I don't need a knife." And he followed us for about a block and a half, and eventually he realized I wasn't going to buy a knife from him, and he moved on. So after he departed, Cody came up and walked beside me again, and I asked him, "Cody, you've been doing this for a while, and every time somebody comes up to me, you intentionally put yourself back behind him and one pace behind me and back behind the guy." I said, "Why are you doing that?" He goes, "Well, I figured it's the best position I can be in to respond if things go bad." I didn't train him for that, but he knew instinctively that was the place for him to be, and that he was more worried about my personal safety than I was worried about my personal safety. And to me, it's a short story, but it's a story that well describes what Cody was about. One of my life's mottos has always been to live in preparation for being a grandfather. And probably some of y'all are grandparents around here. But a young fellow lieutenant once told me that life is in preparation for being a grandparent, because when you have your grandchildren on your knee and they say, "Grandpa, tell me a story," you better have some stories to tell. I'd like to think that Cody kind of lived by that motto too. I know Cody loved life along the same lines, and he was passionate about everything he did. So to those of us who knew him, I ask that you continue to share your Cody stories. All right, I have several Cody stories, some of which are a lot funnier than this one and not appropriate for this environment. But tell your Cody stories, and that way his legacy lives on, and also because he can't. Thank you for being here today.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to keep this short because if I continue, I'm going to start crying. I watched Khork evolve over the last 16 plus years from a young and carefree person, just like a lot of us who came to college, to a leader and loving person who would give the shirt off of his back and the last dollar to his name, which he did for me and everyone he knew on countless occasions. Khork had a calling to serve something greater than himself. If he had a chance to wear red, white, and blue, he always seized it. I remember him asking my fiancée at the time, after I asked him to be my best man, if he could wear a red, white, and blue bow tie with his tux. Service to our country was his dream and honor. I remember when I first met Khork, I made a joke in the SAE suites. I said, "What in the four eyes is happening here?" And he thought that was the most hilarious thing he's ever heard. And ever since then, we have been best friends. He loved his friends. He loved his fraternity brothers. We lived together for over 6 years in multiple cities and states. Every time it was a unique adventure. And we would always look back and say, how in the world did we not end up in jail? I could go on and on with thousands of stories, but I'll end with this, and I've said this before, and I can't say it enough. Khork was my best friend, best man, and brother. I think about him every day, and I still can't accept what has happened. I'm just waiting for him to call or text, saying, "Just kidding." There's no one else that I've shared things with that I have with him. He helped me get through some of the darkest and toughest times of my life without ever judging me. I would call him up, and we'd go to a bar, and he would just listen to me talk. And he wouldn't say anything. It's extremely hard to find someone like that. I pray that his legacy lives on forever, and I am very grateful that we were all able to come together and create this scholarship in his honor. I know that this will change countless lives, and he's looking down on us and smiling. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chaplain Anthony Ray Deriviere, December 2018 graduate of Southeast University and the Moccasin Battalion. When I think about Cody, one passage in the scripture that comes to my mind is, "Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friend." Cody demonstrated that love when he paid the ultimate sacrifice for his brothers and sisters, for all the soldiers around the world. Cody was always willing to take time out of his busy schedule to help others, whether it was at the 317th Military Police Battalion in Tampa, Florida, or the Moccasin Battalion. And he always provided leadership, support, and mentorship to all of us. While we are gathered together for a sobering moment, let's reflect on an exceptional leader, friend, beloved son, and phenomenal soldier, Major Cody Khork. May we extend his legacy by following his example and never forgetting the ultimate sacrifice he made. It is healthy to grieve with or without tears, and there's no timeline on your grief. But I encourage you all to lean into your faith, to lean into one another, and to remember those times that you had with Cody. As Cody was so often there for many in this room, we honor his memory by being there for one another. It is in those little daily sacrifices that we keep his memory alive. So we share tears, share stories, share memories, and share in the kind of selflessness that led Cody to give his last full measure.
Good afternoon. For those who do not know me, my name is Alex Bacon. I'm a 2016 graduate of Florida Southern College, an alumnus of the ROTC program, and an SAE fraternity brother. But most importantly, I was one of Khork's best friends. First, I need to thank Lieutenant Colonel Dingle, who initiated the ideas of today's events. Sir, the thought behind this was well received by everyone, as we all try and honor Major Cody Khork in the most appropriate way. Miss Stacy Walsh and Heather Ferris, you and your team have spearheaded the efforts to put this together, coordinated between the ROTC department and the rest of the college campus and faculty. President Martin, over the past couple of months, I've constantly heard about your genuine gratitude and your willingness to help in every way possible. Kyle Butler, Des Sanderson, thank you for your continued support with putting out relevant information to all of the ROTC alumni. And Joey Bunker, thank you for doing the same with all of the SAE fraternity brothers. There are too many people to mention for the support that has been offered and received, but please know it is all greatly appreciated. I arrived at Florida Southern College about 14 years ago in 2012. I was an 18-year-old dude that didn't know much about anything, and I was just trying to figure out life. I was immature, reckless at times, and made countless mistakes. The one thing I knew in life was that I was going to serve this country in uniform. The first weekend I arrived here, knowing virtually no one on campus, word made it around that Cal's was the place to go. So, my first weekend here, that's where I went, and that's where I first met Khork. At the end of the night, and many of you know what kind of nights those were, we walked a mile home from Cal's to his apartment where I spent the rest of the weekend, and that continued through the rest of the semester. For my entire time here at FSC with Khork, we were in some way or another roommates. We spent almost every minute outside of classes together, along with AJ, Shane, Jamal, and Charles. Over the past several months, a lot of us have been to different services and events, and we've heard some really great speakers who did an incredible job honoring Khork and the impact that he had. I've written this out multiple times, I've thrown it out, I've started over, and man, this is tough. How do I encompass the love for my brother in a short speech, and how do I adequately express how amazing of a person that this man was? In that impossible task, one word kept coming to mind. One thing above all else that Khork taught me, that he showed me, and that he lived on a daily basis. The word I want to associate with Major Cody Khork is passion. This man was passionate. And he wasn't just passionate about the big things either. He was passionate about everything that meant something to him. Yes, he was extremely passionate about his country, his fraternal brotherhood, the ROTC program, but he was also passionate about the current video game he was invested in, his choice of cigars, the exact measurements of a drink we called Venom, and of course, the Florida Gators. If you knew Khork, you knew exactly how he felt about any topic, and he did not compromise. That stuck with me, and has helped me shape who I am as a man today. Khork was the most disciplined person I had ever met. And if you had the honor of knowing him, you know exactly what I mean. Work hard, play hard kind of guy. He made sure that he did not have regrets by going all in, whatever the activity or task was. So, given the circumstances, what would Khork do? Khork would crack a cold one with James and shoot some pool. He would lose, but lose passionately. Khork would then join in a game of flip cup with his brothers, and the outcome of that would depend on the teams, but I guarantee he would play passionately. Then Khork would sit down next to Megan and turn on the Gators the other week during March Madness. He would love on you, Megan, and he would be sure you knew and felt that love. He would then be passionately distraught at the outcome of that game. Later in the night, he would watch Top Gun with everyone. Tomorrow morning, he would wake up, put on his uniform, and passionately serve this country to protect our American way of life by supporting and defending the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Because that is Khork. He would bear true faith and allegiance to the same and take that obligation freely. And he would have no mental reservation or purpose of evasion. Because that is Khork. One passionate American hero. As I continue to wear this uniform, as I continue to be a brother in this fraternity, and as I continue to be an alumnus of Florida Southern College, I can only hope and aspire to have a fraction of the impact to those around me that Khork had around him. We love you, brother. Phi Alpha, mock strike first, all the way. This will defend.
Good afternoon, everyone. Major Chris Everett's class of 2014. Thank you to Florida Southern College and the ROTC program for providing all of us an opportunity to remember our classmate, our friend. I always like to tell people that the Army is the people business. Service in the U.S. Army is navigating relationships, emotions, personalities. Cody Khork had a master's degree in the people business. He was the first to crack a joke, to disarm everyone in the room, bring us back to reality. He was the first to welcome a stranger, drag you along on an adventure you probably didn't want to go on, but you know you should. So in August of 2010, I was a freshman here at Florida Southern, standing in formation at grass field on the opposite side of campus. All of us freshman cadets, we moved between receiving information, going inside, filling in paperwork, all the other orientation things, and all of us freshmen were hoping we took good notes. Then at the end of it, at the end of our class period, the tall guy with the weird glasses, who's been standing at the end of the formation, he called us all over. He handed us this weird paper I hadn't seen before, waterproof, got all our phone numbers down on it. Didn't mean much at that time, but he immediately broke the tension. He let us know what was really important. He filtered out the noise. This was his second semester in the program. He graduated basic training that summer. He had been there, done that. He bought the t-shirt. It was important to him that we were taken care of. That was how I met Cody Khork. And I spent the remainder of my time here at Florida Southern with him as a reliable teammate. I needed teammates like him to endure this 4-year program. Early morning formations and long weekend field exercises were the extent of our hardship. We had no idea what the service, the hardship that you endure in service, hours, sweat. In commercials and movies, the U.S. Army is seen as fun, exciting, full of adventure, and sometimes it is. But the unseen part of the Army is the boring, time-consuming, thankless, behind-the-scenes work to make sure that people are taken care of and that things run on time. Our nation calls upon its most precious resource, its people, to serve in this endeavor. A testament to Cody's character are the numerous times that he raised his hand to serve and deploy. He chose to endure hardship with the best of our nation, making sure they were okay, with a joke to lighten the mood, checking on them when faced with uncertainty, hardship. I will always remember Cody as the man who could brighten up a room with his presence, who genuinely cared for those around him, and selflessly devoted himself to our nation and its people. Thank you for allowing me to share this with you. And may his legacy be carried on through these cadets, his brothers, and this institution. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Captain Alexander McKee, class of 2012. I would like to express my deepest gratitude and appreciation for being able to speak in tribute to Major Cody Khork on this occasion. Cody was a truly wonderful person who cared deeply for people. His genuine nature left no doubts about his character and where you stood with him. I was blessed to have met Khork in the fall of 2009. We both joined ROTC at the same time. I quickly learned that ROTC meant early mornings, early wake-ups, and physical training starting at 06:30. Cody was always in formation, chipper, and ready to go, and encouraging all the other cadets to finish their workouts on time. That first year, I have memories, many which include appetizers at Applebee's and Chili's, movie nights, being in voluntold for weekend events, ROTC, labs, FTXs, and more. Cody went to basic combat training the next summer in 2010. I remember him coming back with tales of how the drill instructors kept sneaking him food the entire time to ensure that he would pass the final height and weight. Whereas his peer, Cadet Howard, came back with over 10 pounds of muscle mass, Cody came back skinny as ever, but with a cool new feature, his basic issued combat glasses, AKA his BCGs. But Cody had a different nickname for those I won't repeat here. Cody wound up in a townhouse with Cadet Haynes and Cadet Reynolds and Cadet D'Angona during his second year where many beer pong tournaments and other shenanigans were had. I remember that year Khork and D'Angona would show up to PT reeking of Hollister cologne and making everyone queasy. Fast forward to March of 2025, I was going through one of the darkest and most difficult periods of my life. Khork hit me up on March 18th, asking me about the latest World of Warcraft expansion. He subsequently jumped into a Discord call for over 2 hours, catching up on real life and talking about the newest game mechanics. For the next 6 weeks, we gamed almost daily while he was recovering in the Soldier Recovery Unit from his last mobilization to Poland. We were grinding quests, pugging dungeons, and clearing raids with the guild he got us in. I don't know if anybody here has ever been in a Ventrilo, TeamSpeak, or Discord channel with 40-plus adults, but it's giving teenage sleepover energy. It's hard to explain a raid night other than everyone is giddy, laughing, making fun, using soundboards, and just memeing nonstop. Cody was a king of banter. He was always ready to go with a one-liner. Those were some of the best times that I can recently remember, and I will cherish them forever. Life wound up happening. I got busy. Cody wound up mobilizing, but I'll never forget the spark of light that Cody was when I was at my darkest. Cody was the best of us, and I am forever grateful to have known him.
Good afternoon. I'd like to begin by thanking Florida Southern College, the ROTC leadership, our military guests that are here today, and the community leaders also who've taken the time out of their busy schedule to attend. Your presence here means more than any of you can understand, not just to our family, but what this moment means. Because you see, standing here on this campus is deeply personal to us. This is where Cody's path truly began. Before the rank, before the responsibility, before the world knew him as Major Cody Khork, he was a young man standing here, right where many of you are standing today, at the starting line of something much bigger than himself. The ROTC program wasn't just a program for Cody. It was a proving ground. It's where discipline became habit, where responsibility became real, and where the foundation of leadership was set. Not perfectly, but purposefully. Part of that formation came from stepping out from what was familiar. During his ROTC time, he had the privilege of going to Africa. That experience changed him. It gave him perspective, real perspective, the kind you don't get from a classroom or a textbook. He saw the world beyond his own walls. He saw different conditions, different struggles, different realities. And it shaped the way he thought about leadership. It wasn't just about achievement anymore. It became about responsibility, about understanding what leadership means, showing up in places that aren't comfortable, and making the difference where it actually matters. That experience stayed with him. It influenced the choices that he made moving forward, the path that he chose, and the kind of leader that he became. He didn't just move through this experience, he built himself through it. And what came out of it wasn't just a soldier. It was a man who understood what it meant to serve, not just his country, but the people around him. There's something Cody used to say to me, and I remember it now more than ever. A man dies twice. The first time he takes his last breath, and the second time when his name is spoken for the last time. That idea that life continues through impact, through memory, through the people that carry it forward. That is exactly why we're here today. The Major Cody A. Khork Army ROTC Scholarship is not just a tribute, it's a continuation. It's a continuation of where he started and what he stood for. The scholarship represents more than just support. It represents an expectation that those who receive it and those who stand alongside them understand the responsibility that comes with it. To lead with integrity, to serve with purpose, and to carry something greater than themselves. Because leadership is not defined by rank. It's defined by how you show up. Consistently, quietly, and when it matters most. And that applies to everyone in this room. To the cadets, this is your foundation. To the military leaders, this is your legacy in motion. And to the community, this is your investment in the future. We all play a role in what comes next. And for our family, there is comfort in knowing that Cody's journey does not end in loss. It continues here, in this program, in this institution, and in the lives that will be shaped by moving forward. This is what legacy looks like. Not something you look back on, but something that continues to move forward. So today, it's not just about remembrance. It's about responsibility. To honor the path by walking it well. To honor the name by speaking it often. And to ensure that what began here continues long after all of us. This is where his journey began, and because of all of you, it will continue stronger and longer than he could have ever imagined. Thank you.
This afternoon, we've gathered in this beautiful and historic chapel to pause and to remember and to reflect on a life of Major Cody Khork, but not simply the way that he died. As we've said, we've come to recognize the way that he lived. We have heard about his loyalty, the kind that stayed with people over the years and across distance. We've heard about his passion, how he threw himself fully into the things that mattered, whether that was his country, his friends, or the small things that made life what it is. We've heard about his presence, how he could walk into a room and change it, how he made people feel seen and valued and steady. And taken together, these stories leave a clear impression that Cody was a leader who stood in the gap. He placed himself between others and harm. He carried responsibility when it mattered, and he absorbed weight so others could keep moving forward. These were not exceptions. This was the pattern of his life. And in the end, the pattern led him to give what President Lincoln called the last full measure of devotion to his nation. He laid down his life in service, standing exactly where he had always stood, between his people and harm. So the question that we have to ask is this: what does it actually mean to remember someone like that? What does it mean to memorialize him? As we've heard, his family has established an amazing endowed scholarship that will continue to invest in future leaders who will follow the same path that he once walked. President Martin will come again in a moment and talk about how the college will continue to memorialize him. And these are significant acts. They assure that his name and his legacy will be seen and spoken and remembered. But they also invite something more. History gives us language for that. More than 2,000 years ago, after a devastating war, Pericles stood before a grieving people, and he spoke about those who had fallen. He could have pointed to monuments and inscriptions, But instead he said, "For there dwells also an unwritten memorial of them, graven not on stone, but in the hearts of men. Make them your examples, esteeming courage to be freedom and freedom to be happiness." He was drawing a distinction that still holds clear. There's a memorial that you can see, and there is a memorial that you carry. And what you see matters because it reminds us and it anchors memories, but it isn't the legacy itself. The legacy is what has already been written into people. You can hear that today in this room. It's in the stories that we have shared, and the laughter that sat alongside grief, in the way that people described how Cody showed up, how he led, how he invested, and how he cared. The kind of impact that isn't created after someone's gone, but it's built over time, and it does not disappear. So when we dedicate an endowed scholarship in his name, the real question is not simply what it represents. The question is whether we will live in a way that carries it forward. Because a memorial that's only observed will eventually fade into the background. But a memorial that is carried continues to shape the people who bear it. And for those who knew him, that is already happening. For those who did not, you have still been given a clear example of what it looks like to live with purpose, to care for people, and to take responsibility when it matters. That is what gives a memorial its meaning. Not the inscription, not the name, but the lives that are shaped because of it. That is the unwritten memorial. And that is how Major Cody Khork lives and how his life will continue.
Today we've heard what kind of a man Major Cody Khork was, a leader who showed up, who cared deeply for others, who fulfilled his duty when it mattered most. As president of Florida Southern College, it's my privilege to share several ways in which we will honor Major Khork. Through the generosity of an anonymous donor, the conference room in the college's soon-to-be renovated and much desired to be renovated ROTC building will be named in honor of Major Cody A. Khork, class of 2014. This will be a place where future leaders gather, where they prepare for service, and where they begin to understand the weight and responsibility of leadership. Through the diligent efforts of Cody's family and friends, and through the generosity of hundreds of donors, the Major Cody A. Khork Endowed ROTC Scholarship has been established to annually support an ROTC cadet in the Moccasin Battalion. To date, nearly 255 donors have given over $126,000 to the Khork Scholarship Endowment, which will fund room and board for a selected cadet. It will literally nourish and shelter one of you as they grow into a leader like Major Khork. In addition, a brick has been placed in Major Khork's memory in our Patriots Plaza. I'm also pleased to share this year, our Student Government Association unanimously decided to dedicate the senior signing, quote, "in loving memory of Major Cody Khork, a member of our college community and brother of SAE, honored for his service and sacrifice," end quote. Now I would like to present two shadow boxes that were prepared by the Cadet Command to ensure that Cody's name is indeed forever spoken and his service remembered. They hold pieces of his story to give shape to a life lived with purpose. But like every memorial, they are more than what sits inside the frame. They are a reminder of an oath upheld, and in that way, they become not just a tribute to the past, but a standard for the future. At this time, I would like to invite Senator Colleen Burton, Representative Jennifer Kennedy, Representative Hillary Holly, and Representative Jennifer Kincart Johnson forward for a special presentation to the Khork family.
It's such a privilege to be with you today, to the family, to friends, to those who have gathered from our community. What a tremendous time to give honor to one who deserves it so well. And one of the things that we can do as members of the legislature is to provide a symbol. So we have had, in honor of Major Cody Khork, 3 flags flown over the Capitol. And this is what will symbolize that action. Whereas Major Cody Khork honorably served in the United States as a dedicated member of the Army Reserves, exemplifying courage, integrity, and an unwavering commitment to duty. And whereas throughout his military career, Major Khork demonstrated exceptional leadership and a deep devotion to protecting the freedoms and security of our nation, whereas his service reflects the highest traditions of the United States Armed Forces and stands as a testament to his selflessness and sacrifice, and whereas Major Khork's legacy will continue to inspire all who knew him and those who benefit from the liberties he helped defend, and now, therefore, we honor and recognize Major Cody Khork for his distinguished service in the Army Reserve and extend our deepest gratitude for his sacrifice and dedication to the United States of America, presented by the 2026 Polk County delegation. So at this time, we would like to present those flags to his family, and then the 3rd flag, which will remain here at Florida Southern College in the Moccasin Battalion. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Burton, Representatives Kennedy, Holly, and Kenkart Johnson. It's my privilege on behalf of Florida Southern to present another proclamation honoring Cody Khork's service and sacrifice alongside his impact on this college and for his country. Whereas Major Cody A. Khork, class of 2014, was a proud graduate of Florida Southern College and a distinguished alumnus of its Reserve Officers Training Corps, where his lifelong commitment to leadership and service first took root. Whereas following his commissioning as a military police officer in the United States Army Reserve, he served his nation with honor, professionalism, unwavering dedication, including multiple overseas deployments, and his final assignment as the Force Protection Deputy with the 103rd Sustainment Command Expeditionary Forward. Whereas his exemplary service was recognized through numerous military awards, including the Meritorious Service Medal, the Army Commendation Medal, and the Joint Service Achievement Medal. Whereas Major Khork made the ultimate sacrifice in service to his country, exemplifying the highest ideals of duty, courage, and selfless leadership. Whereas in his honor, Florida Southern College has established the Major Cody A. Khork Endowed ROTC Scholarship and has dedicated the ROTC conference room in his name, ensuring his legacy endures for generations of cadets. Now, therefore, I, Dr. Jeremy P. Martin, President of Florida Southern College, do hereby proclaim that Major Cody A. Khork's legacy will remain forever woven into the life of this college. His example continues to shape the leaders who follow him. His sacrifice is permanently honored. His name stands, will be spoken, and remembered here. To the Khork family, we extend our deepest gratitude and enduring respect. We are honored that Cody's journey began here, and we will hold his memory in sacred trust. That is a standard worthy of this institution and one that will live on through the Mocs who pass through this program and go on to serve our nation. May it continue to shape leaders of character and purpose for years to come. His name will be spoken. He will be remembered. We are grateful.
I invite you to stand with me for a silent tribute, the benediction, and the playing of taps. Please join me in a moment of silence. Let us pray. Almighty God, as we leave this place, we do not leave unchanged. We carry with us the weight of a life well lived and a sacrifice fully given. Help us to carry it well, not only in memory, but in action. Give strength to those who grieve in the quiet moments that follow today. Give steadiness to those who continue to serve. And give all of us the courage to live with the same sense of purpose, loyalty, and commitment that we have honored here. Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for attending. Please be seated and remain seated while our official party, followed by the family and our distinguished guests, have rendered their final honors and exited. At that time, you will receive dismissal instructions.
"35 years, a fire in his eyes, quick with a joke beneath the open skies. Major Cody Khork, a name we hold so dear, a wild streak running with absolutely no fear. He came from the heartland with a soul so bright, ready for the challenge, ready for the fight. He wore the red, white, and blue, a patriot through and through, flag, bandana flying in everything he do. A true American hero, taken way too soon, left a scar on our hearts beneath the silent moon. Dressed as Uncle Sam that one Halloween night, a symbol of the country he served with all his might. Then across the world, deployed there in Poland, he found his one true love, Megan, and he took her hand. A love story written in the theater of war, a beacon of hope worth fighting for. He wore the red, white, and blue, a patriot through and through, flag, bandana flying in everything he do. A true American hero, taken way too soon, left a scar on our hearts beneath the silent moon. Operation Epic Fury, the final call he heard. He gave his life for freedom.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our remembrance ceremony today. We thank you for attending. At this time, service members, cadets, veterans, police in uniform may be dismissed by the ushers to come forward through the center aisle to render final honors and exit the building. This military tradition of approaching the memorial stand to render a salute or leave a token of remembrance is a time-honored tradition. You may stay and observe quietly, or you can exit through the side rows where cadets will direct you outside. Unfortunately, due to weather, the missing man flyover that was scheduled will not take place today. The chapel will remain open for anyone who wishes to stay or leave for a moment or leave a token in honor of Major Khork. In addition, the college will be hosting a reception in the Fannin Center for family and friends after this service. Thank you for attending. You are dismissed.